Being able to easily persuade people to do things is the holy grail of effective communication. Psychologists tell us that the whole purpose of communication is to persuade people. So if you can figure out a way to persuade people easily, to effectively persuade people to your way of thinking, that will make you a very, very conversational genius, a very, very effective communicator, to get other people to do what you want them to do. Now, the question is, how do you do this? How can you learn how to persuade effectively? Most sales, most persuasion, most seduction is hit and miss. It's very, very low probability. It's very, very, or it can be very, very confrontational. So the question is, how can you learn how to easily persuade people? Not hard sell people, but easily sell things to people, easily seduce people, easily persuade people to go along with your way of thinking. Well, the first problem is that everybody has different desires. The whole purpose of human life is to achieve desires. The whole purpose of human life is to satisfy desires. Now, everybody has an unlimited number of desires in their heads. You have an unlimited number of desires in your head. I have an unlimited number of desires in my head. And so as soon as I satisfy a desire, there's another desire on the other side of that. But there's far too many desires for me to satisfy all of them. So the human condition is we have to choose which desires to satisfy and which desires not to satisfy. So the first step in being able to persuade somebody, the first step in being able to seduce somebody, and if you want to, the first step in being able to sell something to somebody so you can make a fat commission is to understand the desires that exist inside their head and explain to them what you'd like them to do, but in terms of their own desires. But that's just the first step, because there's a much deeper issue that most people don't understand. But if you do understand this deeper issue, persuading people can be a lot easier. Seducing people can be a lot easier. If you want to, selling things to people can be a lot easier. So what is this deeper issue? Because desires are so important to our lives, because the satisfaction of desires is so important to our lives, everybody has a uniquely calibrated desire acquisition strategy. We've all learned our own uniquely calibrated desire acquisition strategy ever since we started to crawl around and satisfy desires. Because not only is satisfying desires important to us, but we all need a strategy, a repeatable way to satisfy the desires that are the most important to us. But this lives in most people's subconscious. Everybody has a conscious collection of desires, the things that we know that we want. But we have an unconscious strategy to satisfy these desires. And unless you understand what these unconscious desire strategy techniques are, these desire strategy methods are, persuasion is still going to be a little hit and miss. So even if you know what people want, if you try to tell them why they should get it, and that reason doesn't quite match, it's not quite congruent with their deeper desire acquisition strategies, it's going to feel a little like a mismatch and a little confrontational. So the question is, how do you understand? How do you elicit? How do you speak in terms of their own unique desire acquisition strategies? Well, the answer is they live in our subconscious. And so you don't need to ask about them directly because people won't know the answer. In fact, it's a mistake to try to ask about them directly because people won't know the answer. So you need to ask about them tangentially. You need to ask them about previous decisions they've made that they've been successful. That will naturally wake up their desire acquisition strategies. They will wake up the feeling they get when they make a good decision, because everybody has a certain feeling, a certain uniquely calibrated feeling that they need to feel before they make a decision. And instead of asking them how they come to that conclusion, just ask them about previous decisions. Because the way our memory works is we don't really have a hardware in our brain like a computer system that has the memories encoded somewhere. Whenever we remember something, whenever you remember something, whenever I remember something, we recreate that memory in our brain. And when we recreate the memory in our brain, we recreate all those feelings. So if you ask people about how they have satisfied their desires in the past, that will wake up their own uniquely calibrated desire acquisition strategy collection of memories, which will put them in a fantastic mood to make decisions. So the first step is to find out what people want. Simply ask them about what they want. Ask them what they want in the short term. Ask them what they want in the long term. And then ask them questions about how they made decisions in the past. Ask them about how they made their most successful decisions. How did you make the decision to wear the shirt you're wearing? How did you make the decision to eat whatever you ate for breakfast this morning? How did you make the decision to buy the car that you drive? How did you make the decision to buy the place where you live, to buy the house where you live, to sign the lease on your apartment where you live? Ask them as many questions as you can about how they made decisions. And this system, this technique is very, very easy, because in order to persuade people to do whatever you want them to do, in order to seduce people, if you want to seduce people, in order to sell things to people so you can make a fat commission, if you want to sell things to people, all you need to do is ask questions. The problem is a lot of people are stuck inside their ego. A lot of people have a very strong ego, and many people don't like to admit they have an ego, but it feels good to express the ego for a lot of people. It feels good to tell people what they should do. And if you're stuck in the mindset of needing to tell people what they should do, you're going to miss the process of simply asking questions. It is very, very easy to persuade people. It is very, very easy to seduce people. It is very, very easy to sell things to people and make fat commissions, so long as you can release your ego and simply ask questions. Ask questions and respect their mindset. Ask questions and respect the desires that exist in their head. Ask them questions and respect their uniquely calibrated desire acquisition strategies. Now, most people can't do this. Most people won't be able to do this because they're stuck in the ego, tell them what to do. This is why you find a lot of hard closing salespeople with low probability success rates that have this massive energy, this massive charisma, where they need to tell people what to do, where they need to take their ideas and shove them in somebody else's head. But if you can release the need to do this, if you can let go of the need to do this, if you can just relax your mind, relax your consciousness, relax your desire to tell people what to do, and simply ask them questions, you can persuade anybody to do anything within reason. You can persuade anybody to do anything simply by asking questions. You can seduce people simply by asking questions and just relax the need to tell people what to do. I went to this seminar a long, long time ago, and this guy was a guest speaker, and he told us this technique. He said once he learned how to sell things to people, simply by asking them questions, he was able to make far more money than anybody else at his organization in less time. He was within a couple of weeks of learning how to use this technique, of learning how to sell things to people by only asking questions. He was making triple what everybody else was making by only working a couple of days a week. And he said, this is the holy grail. There was kind of a negative side to it, because for salespeople, for most people that get into sales, there is an ego-based aspect. They like the idea of telling people what to do and then watching them do what they did because they told them, and it feels good from an ego standpoint. But if you can release this need, if you can release the need to tell people what to do, if you can release the need to get credit and simply relax back, let them be in control. Let the other person be in control of the decision-making process, and simply ask questions from a curiosity mindset. You can get them to do anything. You can get them to buy anything you're selling. You can seduce anybody. You can persuade anybody if you just relax your mind. Respect their decision-making process. Respect their desires. Respect their desire acquisition strategy. You can get anybody to do anything. because of your unique experience, because of your ability to understand human nature. You can probably use this technique more than most people. Any recent conversations you've had are a perfect example of how you can use this technique to simply relax your mind, relax your consciousness, and ask people questions. And only through the asking of the right questions and the right order, lead them covertly to make whatever decisions you'd like them to make, so long as you can release the need to take credit. It's very, very relaxing. It's very, very easy. It's very, very stress-free. And once you begin to realize how incredibly effective this technique is, once you begin to understand how naturally seductive this technique is, it's not just about seducing people. It's not just about persuading people. It's not just about making a lot of money in sales. It's about having a deep understanding of human nature and how you can simply relax your ego, relax your need to tell people what to do, and get people to do whatever you want simply by asking questions in the right order. I don't know if you can think of ways you can use this technique. I don't know if you're interested in being able to learn this technique. But it's a fantastic way to seduce people without stress, to persuade people without stress. The more you think about this, the more you might start to imagine ways that you could use this in your natural social life, whatever your career might be, whatever your career aspirations might be. The people that have used this technique are far more successful in their careers. Luckily, it's a very, very easy technique to use. The people that have been able to use this technique, particularly the salespeople, the ego-free salespeople that have been able to use this technique and have made twice as much money in half the time, will tell you that no other persuasion model is as simple and easy as this one. If you'd like to learn more, you can check out the links below. Otherwise, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.